You can see, right? Hi, Aishwarya, Sankalpa, and Rakesh. Can all of you hear? All of you are unmute. Hi, can you hear now?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
All right. Aishwarya, we can start now. We can begin.
Okay.
All right.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Winter Exhibition 2020. And myself, Ashwarya, Rakesh, and Sankalpa are here to take you through the landscape program virtual tour of the exhibition. So basically, this is the exhibition website, and you just have to enter from here. So there are the options that we have to select. So Master's Program of Landscape Architecture, lying in Faculty of Architecture. Um, so selecting that and Landscape Architecture Studio. So basically, in landscape program, we have these three studios which were held in monsoon 2020. One is the foundation studio, which was taken by Anjali Jain and Divya Shah. The other are two third semester design studios. One, Our Gardens, taken by Sandeep Patil and Yati Sen Gupta, and the other one is Landscape Design Studio Living Systems, taken by Deepa Maheshwari ma'am. So we'll quickly take you through the studio processes of each one. So I'll take you through the foundation studio first, and Rakesh will be taking over it from now on, and he will explain the process of the foundation studio. Yeah, hi Rakesh, can you please take over?
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm audible. So, for the Foundation Studio, the title of the semester is One Forest, and we began the studio with this fundamental premise of landscape architecture, of reading the landscape and representing it and responding articulately. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hello? Yeah. So in the first part, reading and representing is what the students in the studio looked at in different ways of seeing and recording and interpreting a place through drawings. And then it moved to making set of constructs that measure and explore the landscape in an interpretive manner. And in the second part, we started imagining and constructing larger visions and ideas related to the landscapes and started investigating them deeply. Based on this vision, narratives, and representation of the landscape which we studied, we attempted to imagine and respond to a site. And further moving on, the forest, the jungle, or the woods. We saw these places as an archaea or primeval space, a space that is to continue, we understood that these forests are complex and layered ecosystems, and these vary in ecology, chronology, and the human narratives that describe them. While these can be understood as classical relationship of geography, soil, climate, and vegetation, on the other hand, these are those parts that are not investigated to the fullest, and we attempted to look at it from a multidimensional perspective and develop many ways of understanding this complex unit. And then at last, the students attempted to represent it, which formed the basis of creating a journey through this many nature and engaging with these natures meaningfully. To continue with, we had 5 to 6 different stages, and at each stages, students were looking at different things. The first stage, we were recording landscape, and in recording landscape, we started with the primary medium of sketch. And this exercise, we wanted the students to observe and record a natural setting in the vicinity And these sketches were meant to express the quality of light, the scale, the proportion, and this also had a sense of perspective as accurately as possible. And the medium which students explored here was pen, ink, and charcoal. In the second stage, all sketches were medium which we try to decode. And in this, the students selected a forest which they visited recently and started sketching these in various places and various parts which they have visited through photographs. And this process of representing through quick and freehand sketches made them to realize the physical character of the various parts of the forest and help them identify the multiple systems and spaces which a person experiences when one goes through the forest.
I think we've lost Rakesh again. Hello? Can you hear? Rakesh, are you there?
Yeah,
Great. Yeah,
yes,
we
I
can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah,
No problem. Continue.
I'll continue. So in the third exercise, which is the forest sections, each student sketched the forest and these converted these sketches into sectional drawings. Making these sections help the students to understand the scales, the various components involved in the landscape, like the terrain, the soil, the plants, vegetation types, what the area of habitat and the fauna which they are seeing in a particular place. Further, we started to get into the richer part and through yeah. So moving ahead, we started to look at stories and tales of the forest. And while drawing these sections, it was more about reading and relating them through text. So this exercise again helped the students to fall in line with the forest and understand. And then eventually, at the end of the semester, we made a list of stories that the students read in this process, where each student were going to read about the other 23 students and the stories. Finally, we started to derive a narrative based on all these processes. The students stitched memory their journey to the forest series of sections. This led them to create a journey through various parts of the forest. What this ultimately helped is to build an understanding of the various components of the forest and the relationship between the physical components of the forest, like the
I think we've lost connection with Rakesh here. Perhaps we could just pause there, Aishwarya, till he joins us again. Rakesh, are you there again?
I think we can continue to other studios and we can see if he can join us back.
Yes. Till then, I think Sankalpa could continue. Or
Yeah.
Sankalpa is also offline.
Oh, is it? So,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll continue.
You continue.
ma'am have
Aishwarya.
connected back.
Okay, Rakesh is back. Great.
I'm really sorry for this inconvenience I'm
No
causing,
problem.
but
No problem,
yeah, I'll
Rakesh.
just continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll start with the next exercise, which is correlating systems. And in this, the students identified the forest narratives and started making an understanding about different components like the grasslands, the scrublands, and what these fundamental relationships between each components is, how it is. And in the first part, the students started exploring through a set of maps and a series of sections which they have developed in the previous stage, and ultimately started relating it to habitats and soil and the altitude and how each of them are correlated. Finally, each student had created a larger vision and ultimately taken a student or a person through a walk through the forest. And in this exercise, the students understood the underlying factors that determine the nature of the forest and its.
Yes, Rakesh.
Yeah. So the final part is the larger vision, in which the students started to understand the underlying factors that determine the nature of the forest. And given a geographic location, the students looked at the different ways of expanding the forest by identifying the potentials in and around the forest. And this exercise ultimately developed into an exercise which is called the Stop and Discover Point, in which the students identify the points of pause based on their reimagined journey. These points of pause or where a person could stop and discover the many systems of the forest that are not directly visible, to thus initiating a deeper engagement. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I've completed the studio process, ma'am. Was it audible?
Great. Yes, it was audible. No problem. Thank you so much, Rakesh. Stay there. Yes, just hang in there as Aishwarya goes ahead with the other explanations, or Sankalpa takes over. We have Sankalpa back online. Sankalpa, would you be taking up now the studio?
Yes. Yeah.
Great, great. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So the studio look at the planting design as a core. So main objective was that the student explore to the planting design as a living system, embracing the life cycle, succession, and the future growth. So within the idea was that the idea was that the design space should be something they have a naturalistic planting, and within this style the broader theme they can select their themes, and they can which further articulates with the help of the they can have the seasonal variation, the visual they can look at the visual expression, and the final product is in the terms of experience, as well as there will be the technical drawings. So the process start with the in the first week we look at the 6 different reading. Based on that, we identify the planting themes. 10 different planting themes was identified by the student. Then on that, in individual state the site was selected. Students selected their site, and uh, yeah, further the after the site selection there was a workshop taken by Shilpa ma'am, which talks about the eidetic photo montage, which talks about the first impression of the site when the student visited their site in their particular cities. Next thing was the another workshop was taken by Arnab Sen Gupta, which looks at the systematic thinking, which helps students to articulate their program for the further designing. After that, student come up with the client brief and the program, and the site area was about 1 acre to 10 acre, and uh, 1 acre to 10 acre. In that, they have to design the conceptual for the whole master plan was to be done for the conceptual, and 1 acre they need to detail with all the technical drawings, the lighting, the irrigation, and the planting plan. After that, they from 1 acre, 10 by 10 part was selected, and they have to zoom into 10 by 10, and all the retail planting has to be done, which include the seasonal variation, the uh, lighting, and the irrigation for the specific 10 by 10 plant. Yeah. So if the 10 by 10 student look at the specific planting composition, in which they look at the visual character of the plants, the seasonal variation of the plant, how the lighting and the irrigation. Yeah, that's it.
So I'll be talking about Landscape Design Studio Semester 3.
Yes,
Our
Aishwarya.
Gardens, affirming identity through design. So basically, this student engages students with the identity of design through inquiries into the natural and cultural products of a complex urban setting. So each urban area has a landmark garden that represents the sum of the area's socio-cultural, sometimes ecological identity and aspirations. Hence, the studio engages with the landmark as perceived by the end user along with its natural context. Student imagined and crafted an identifiable, inclusive design for a landmark park. The studio was structured to allow students to explore the design processes beyond only visual expression and use it as a tool to strengthen local geocultural identity. It took its position at the intersection of ecological and anthropological systems. Each student chose an existing landmark in an urban or suburban area around their current place of residence with a view to connect people to the local natural rhythms through design expression. The design processes incorporated local phytogeographic rhythms of nature and attempted to connect them to the user experience through physical activity and socio-cultural rituals. So we had 14 students in our studio, and basically they were residing in very different locations of in India. And based on that, they selected some potential landmark areas in their own cities. And during the studio time, they developed landmark parks, which either represented some cultural aspect, either wilderness or heritage or urbanity. So these are the four broad landmark typology which they came across and they explored in their own city. The studio process was weekly based, and it started from inquiring the the notion around the world, and they were given readings so that they can have some inquiries in their mind and the thought process to move ahead with. Then they started to look at their own cities and understanding the image of the city and their citizens. What are their behavioral traits and what makes the city unique and what is the identity of the city? Based on that, they started to imagine a vision of the project. While they were doing this, they simultaneously were looking for the sites in their own cities and they started to do the site analysis in both tangible and intangible manners, where they could understand what identity they can bring out based on the image of the city and the citizens. Based on this, they did some mind mapping where they even more went deeper into the idea of extracting the notions of the city. Then, based on this research and the imagination, they started to imagine the program of the garden uh, to actually combine the vision and the site requirements. Based on that, they develop the calendar so that they can put the program into all seasonal, annual, and daily activities so that it is quite active and it is interactable throughout the year. Based on that, then they went ahead and they started doing the zoning. With the zoning, they were testing and simulating different options so that they can fix to the final one. There were many workshops which helped them to strengthen their ideas and to move ahead with that. Based on the zoning, then they started doing the grain plan iteration. With that, they had the juries, and based on the juror reviews and all of that, then they moved ahead and started to doing things in detail. They started to structure the entire park in the detail. Then they had a workshop again. Then they were talking about experiential design intervention, then planting structure, detailing it more, talking about in like a small patch so that they can go into detail and understand one space in depth. They talked about material palette, planting palette, and the seasonality and phasing so that how they can actually make it possible in practical sense, and then visualizing and then connecting back into their vision. So basically, these are few glimpses of the exercises that I just talked about. The image of the city, where they developed the image like this. This one talks about Trichy. This one talks about Belgaum, and this is the vision. So they had this mind mapping through the Miro board because it was an online semester. They were involved in so many other ways to get into it. So talking about in those terms with the words and with understanding of the city with the image. Then they started doing this site analysis in whatever the requirement was based on. So like in this particular site, it is a site which is close to mangrove, and there is a creek. So she looked at how people are actually connected to this ecological sensitive area and what can be done to make the culture and the ecology as the identity of the city. Then this is basically programming and how they then kept all of the program in the calendar so that they know that how each space can be worked in different seasons or different time of the year or the day. Then based on these imaginations, they turned it into the in a plan form, in a grain plan form, and then they started to translate the identity into form, into the space, that how that space would look and what would make people to associate with that space even in the better form. Then to detail out more, then started talking about this material palette, which is visualized in this form where even the rain or the moisture in the soil or in the material was looked at in the detail so that the essence or the space quality can be felt, can be expressed by the user itself or can be experienced by the user itself. This is the planting structure. So to do the detailed planting structure, they zoomed it into a 20 by 20 meter patch where they detailed from like one small grain to even a tree. So what happens to all the structures of the planting? And this is basically the seasonality. So one space looking at in different seasons and how it changes, or maybe what are the biodiversity which are related to it, which makes the space very different in each season. And some of the students also attended how they can do the phasing of that particular patch. So, so like in this example, the student was dealing with the wilderness idea and how that natural processes can itself build a place. So that was seen based on the planting palette and the seasonality or the annual, perennial, what kind of plants were those. So based on that, the phasing was then done. So, so yeah, basically, this was the studio process, and there are various very interesting projects to look at. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Aishwarya. Thank you, Aishwarya, Sankalpa, and Rakesh for an amazing insight into the studio, into all the three studios, and wow, what work! We're looking forward for more exposure like this to students and everybody else on campus. Um, that will be all for today. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.